What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the After Bedtime Podcast. I am excited. This podcast is a special one for me. This is one of my best friends, a guy that I've known for a very long time, since before I was a dad. I've known him before he was a dad, going all the way back to college days. And he has always inspired me, especially with fashion. But he has always inspired me just to be a better man, a better human being. And I could not be more excited for somebody to be able to come and share their story with you about fatherhood and how they're balancing, pursuing their dreams and being dad at the same time. So without further ado, Mike, why don't you introduce yourself? Say what's up to the people.
Hey, everyone. Thank you, Jeremy, for that introduction. I appreciate it.
No
My
doubt.
name is Michael Shoemore. I also go by Shoe. That's one of my nicknames as well, and also the name of my brand. So I have a fashion brand called Shoe. I'm the creative director and founder of it. Just started that back in 2021. So it's been a journey ever since. So I actually started that before I became a father. So, with becoming a dad now. So just trying to find that balance like we all are trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, you have, as long as I've known you, which is going all the way back to like ASU days, shout out to Arizona State Sun Devils. Fashion. Yeah, there you go. Forks up. The fashion has always been something that you have been involved in, been like you've loved. I remember always saying to you, I was like, bro, you always just dress nice. And I'm not a fashion person, y'all, just so you know, if you
Yes,
see
he
me on the
is.
street. This is normally how I am, like workout clothes. Because I can't put it together the way this man puts it together. Follow him on his Instagram. I think it was Shoe Media and like at Mike Shoe, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But fashion is something that you've always been into. Like, what got you into fashion? Where did that come from for you?
Okay, so yeah, my journey with fashion is it's kind of all over the place, honestly. So a lot of my inspiration comes from fashion actually came from me being a sneakerhead. So even
Okay.
though like my name being Michael Shoemore, like it's funny, ironic that also with me my last name being Shoemore, I was also a sneaker collector.
Yeah.
So I was always made fun of my last name my entire life growing up, and even the name Shoe, which is funny how even though people always used to say like, "Do you want more shoes or shoe more, shoe less?" But then it was so called like I actually was a sneakerhead, so I loved to collect shoes. So I'm a collector in general. So a lot of my inspiration with fashion came from just the idea of me collecting shoes and wanting to put together outfits that went with the shoes that I was collecting. Um,
Yeah.
so that's kind of like how I got started in it. And when I think about myself as a designer, a lot of that comes from also my interest in film. So, prior to even being a fashion designer, I first started off my creative journey being in film, directing, producing, writing, and shooting videos and things like that. And my mom was heavy into a lot of movies and TV shows growing up. So subconsciously, I realized like a lot of my inspiration, fashion wise, design wise, and also when I'm creating collections, comes from some type of movie reference or film reference as well. So a lot of that inspiration does come from film. Like most recently, my newest collection offline that I just dropped not too long ago in Paris for Fashion Week was very heavily inspired by sci-fi. So at that time, I was watching a lot of sci-fi movies like Matrix and Akira and Ghost of the Shell and Blade Runner and those types of things. It was very sci-fi inspired punk. And then prior to that, it was like I was inspired by like horror movies. And all these things come from like what my mom was showing me as I was growing up. Little bit about me also as I grew up without a dad. So that's why, long story short, with my name being calling my brand Shoe, it's also about me like redefining a name that I wanted to give a new meaning to as well in my own story.
So, I mean, there's it seems like fashion obviously has like been a huge part of your life, and now like as a dad, um, what about it? What about fashion now do you see in the light of like fatherhood? Like for so long you've looked at it as, just like a young kid, a teenager, then going into college, becoming a man, and what fashion has kind of been like as an expression for you. Like how has fatherhood impacted your expression, like from a fashion perspective?
From a fashion, well, obviously, I get inspired by like my son's name is Cameron, so his outfits, making clothes for him, putting his style together and seeing myself in that from that lens. Because that was a big thing for me growing up was when I was a young kid, I wasn't able to express myself fashion wise as a kid, which is because like my mom always wanted to have a lot of control of what I was wearing. So that's something I would say for sure as a dad that I look at when I see my son and I'm putting him in these different outfits and things like this that I'm inspired by. I also still at the same time want to give him that creative expression as he continues to grow older to express himself as well. And also with me designing as a father, I realized I started getting more into, I would say, more formal wear. I would say just
Okay.
as well. Formal wear started being a little bit more important to me because it expressed a little bit more maturity, like a lot more, I would say, tailoring when it comes to slacks and dress pants and dress shoes and ties and those types of things is something I'm really into right now. Hence some movie references right now. I'm into a lot of I would say crime mafia movies right now, like Sopranos, American Gangster, Godfather, things right now. I'm really into that. But I'm tying that into the maturity also of being a dad and wanting to dress a little bit more mature than I was in my younger years.
Do you like you said, you shout out to Cameron, who is highly fashioned, y'all, and dresses absolutely amazingly. Do you ever think that you want him to also fall into the legacy of fashion? Are you going to be passing that down, or
I
do
mean,
you
obviously
think
that
he
would be
liked it?
something.
Like,
It'll be something I would love to do, of course, and it's going to be something that he'll take on by default. And as you know, when you're building something like this, now you just think beyond yourself, right? You're understanding that, hey, this is something that, can last beyond me. It's not just about me anymore. It's about I'm creating this business, I'm creating this legacy that in which Cameron can take on and can be inspired by as well. But obviously, there's no pressure to him if it's something he's interested in or not interested in. My job as a father is just, as you know, being a dad is simply exposure um, to your kids, exposing them to things as well, and then kind of seeing what they gravitate towards. But if he wants to ever be in fashion, his dad's one of the best, I would say.
I would agree with you.
Yeah,
So I mean, Shoe has been around since 2021, right?
2021. Yeah.
2021. And you have kind of traveled around. I know you don't want to, I'm going to brag on this guy because like he's got a Rolodex of people that have been wearing some of his stuff. Can you tell us some of the highlights that you've had throughout your journey of Shoe being created, that there have been people, other artists or other people that have recognized, wow, like I really like what this guy has created and I want to be able to wear it and showcase it in my own expression.
Oh yeah. um, I just been fortunate enough that with my experience, just both in film and just those relationships I had prior to having a fashion brand, that I was able to have a certain level of eyes and attention on the work that I was doing, especially when I decided to create the brand Shoe. So big artists such as like Travis Scott, Peso Pluma, Forbats, Leon Thomas, all these great people have gravitated towards my brand and enjoy it. Also, some NFL, NBA players, Joshua Palmer on the Bills, Xavier McKinney on the Packers, Torrey Craig on the Bulls. There's endless amount of people, as you know, Jeremy, that have gravitated towards the brand.
There are a lot of people that really do believe in this, man, and like you've done, such like an exceptional job with the creation of it. What does Shoe mean to you? Like what do you always like when you put something on, or when you come up with a concept, you come up with an idea? Is there a rooted theme that is consistent throughout all of the different collections, or is it unique to the collection itself? Like if you were to describe like the pillars of Shoe, like what are some of those pillars?
Okay, so like for example, Shoe is based upon the name. The name has a deep meaning, like I was telling you guys. So if you guys haven't seen the logo yet, it's Shoe with a line through it, right? So the line is representative, has multiple meanings. Creating your own path and your own journey and your own story is what I would say is part of it. It also has to do with, like I was telling you guys at the beginning, is like the juxtaposition of what the name actually means to me. Shoe was a name growing up that I did not like. I never liked being called Shoe. I always wanted to just be called Mike. I always wanted to be called Michael. Hence why, Jeremy, when you first met me, I just said my name is Mike. My name is Michael. Even though Shoe already existed. You know, in
Mhm.
middle school, in high school, people used to call me that, but I used to not like it because I didn't like my last name or that nickname because it reminded me of my father, who was never in my life.
Mm.
So when I decided to call my fashion brand Shoe, and hence with the logo with the line through it, it has to do with that duality and that juxtaposition of a name that I did not like growing up, but I wanted to redefine it with a new meaning.
Wow.
That's
I
where it,
mean,
that's where it ultimately comes from. Is that, and then with that line, it represents the juxtaposition of me not liking the name and not wanting to be called the same nickname as my father, and also it's about me also taking the power of the name back into my hands and redefining what it means and creating my own path and journey.
that's a beautiful way of looking at defining yourself and defining the things that you create. And I appreciate you for being so honest and vulnerable in this moment and giving that to us and sharing that with us. Because I
It's
know,
important. I think this is a great
yeah,
conversation too because it has to do with fatherhood and the whole thing. And that's literally this name comes from uh, literally my father, who was not in my life, and then me taking that power back and now being a dad and giving it a new name and a new meaning and a new story. And hence, like when I design collections now, I take inspiration. Hence, why I mentioned my mom a few times. I would say almost every collection I designed is always inspired by something my mom showed me growing up. Like I was just telling you guys, this recent collection offline was inspired by sci-fi movies, but once again, it was sci-fi movies my mom showed me growing up. 80s, my mom loves Star Wars. She loves Blade Runner. She loves all those old 80s sci-fi movies. So when I designed my collection inspired by sci-fi, it was all of these movie references in which that my mom showed me. And then prior to that, I was inspired by horror movies. And there was all the old 80s horror movies that my mom was showing me. The Tim Burton movies, the uh, Lost Boys, I would say old school Batman. These are all the things that my mom showed me. So I took a lot of inspiration from her, and I would say inspiration from her and films and movies will continue to be in each one of my collections and stories as well.
yeah. I mean, it seems like so much of what your life was is is all thrown into this brand Shoe, and you've done a great job of kind of like being able to be the captain of that ship and kind of be like, I'm gonna show my life and I'm gonna show who I am, but I'm gonna show it this way. I have two questions. The first one is kind of going to what you said about Shoe and redefining what that last name means to you, because unfortunately, because I it's important. So many people's dads make that choice of not being involved in their life. And always with bad, I always said, what Black American dad is and what it represents and how great African American fathers are and what we are and what we can be. I never wanted to take away from people that didn't have that experience, that weren't able to build that relationship with their dad for whatever reason. And unfortunately, there are people that do make that choice, that choose not to be involved in their life. And it sounds like your dad unfortunately missed out on a great relationship and a great son to be able to have continue the legacy of his last name. Um,
Absolutely.
so now with you being a dad and you got this line through Shoe,
Yeah.
how do you want Cameron to look at the last name Shoemore?
Well, I want him to look at it from a whole new perspective. Now, when he thinks about Shoe, it's going to have such a positive meaning to it. He's going to think about fashion. He's going to think about creativity. He's going to think about film. He's going to think about redefining his path, or not even redefining it, of him owning his own path of being able to do with it, anything that it is that he wants to do, which is what it's all about. Versus how I've always had the name, and it had me, I had a negative connotation towards it. You know, when he grows up, he's not going to have that same feeling towards the name as I
Yeah.
had. You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind
What?
of like I even also did. It's also helped me a lot too through the process of, I would say, of healing from this as well. It's just me just redefining something literally that that was a huge part of me that I just didn't like. growing up my entire life. Hence, like why I told you we met for a long time and we known each other a long time, and I never told you before my nickname was that before. Shoot, I
No,
never told you that.
no, never. I
I
just
know.
called you Mike.
I never
I
liked it
was
because I
like, oh,
never
Mike.
liked it.
Yeah.
I never liked
Yeah.
it. And I was
Yeah.
called Shoe. I told you for like forever since middle school.
And I think it's it's reasonable for you to not like that and like to not be associated with that because of what sounds like was a lot of pain.
Pain comes from it. Exactly. But
Yeah.
now, with what I've done now when I say Shoe and these, I mention it, it's like now I've changed the narrative. I've changed the story. I've now made it turn into a positive. Like now that, helped me heal from it, as well as like my son Cameron's never going to look at it from the perspective I had to.
You
Because he's
change
ultimately his
the
nickname's
narrative.
going to be called Shoe too. At some point,
Yeah.
he's
You
going to be
never
called
know.
Shoe.
Like
His
that
name
might
is
be his
Cameron
nickname
Shoemore.
now.
So
Is like people call him Shoe.
someone's going to call him Shoe at some
Yeah.
point. Whether he decides that or not, or tells them, someone's going to come up with that, and then now it just has this whole new meaning.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful.
No,
Versus
I would
when I was
imagine
called
so.
it, I'm thinking about, oh man, this is the nickname of my father, who's not in my life. Don't call me
Yeah.
that. Now he's never going to have that thought process on that nickname or name.
That's right. No, he's got you and how you have shown him what I get that. So I didn't get a chance to get you to the second question, but like you have touched into so many things that I think are really important to talk about. And like, I think breaking through things and you leaning into brand building and artistically expressing your journey through life and how you have defined it and shaped it is something that I think Black American Dad is all about, right? It's about self-identity. It's about recognizing who you are as the individual and the power that you have within yourself to be whatever you want to be. And it seems like you have been the persona of that, right? You have personified that in so many ways, with this brand that I'd like, I can't get enough of. And there's so many things I want to be able to talk about with it, but I don't want to take up all of your time. We only have so much of it. But I did want to salute you on that because I do think that, and I would love to have you back on to talk more about this because I think a lot of dads that are interested in fashion, that are interested in streetwear, that want to be able to express themselves artistically could really benefit from hearing more from somebody like you, because you beat the odds. You went against you beat that mental hurdle. You beat those things of saying like I can't or I don't have that or I don't want to express that. No, instead you actually leaned into it and was like, nah, I'm gonna take this and be artistic and redefine it and make it into something that's my own. And other people now are recognizing it for what you have created it for. So that's in itself is a podcast. But there's so many other things that are like here, but like leaning back into the business side of it. Where you're at right now with Shoe, one of the questions I like to ask dads is like, when you're laying in bed at night, kids asleep, everybody's asleep, you're now laying up, you're an entrepreneur. So I know that there's those nights where you're staring at the ceiling thinking, right? What are some of those thoughts about where you are with Shoe right now? Like what keeps you up at night? What are the things that you're staring at the ceiling thinking about?
That's a very, very good question because so many things come to mind. One of the main things that pops in my mind is like, did I do enough for it today? What did I accomplish? Because like, just like any entrepreneur, there's 1,000 things to accomplish, right? So main things that kind of keep me up is just literally, did I do enough today towards my goal? And am I making sure that I have enough energy? Because I always talk to you about that before too, Jeremy. Having enough energy to accomplish all your goals that you want to do as an entrepreneur within a business, because as you know, being a designer and a creative is one part of a business, but then you have the whole business side itself, as well. So I would say what keeps me up definitely at night is the business of Shoe and making sure that as an entrepreneur, I'm not just doing all the things that I feel like doing, but I'm doing a lot more of the things that aren't necessarily things I want to do, but I know I have to do.
That you have to do. Right?
That I have to do. And so I try to focus a lot on that at night. When I'm just kind of thinking about what my plan is the next day, because the best way to prepare for the next day is the night before. Going into a day and then writing your checklist then versus having your checklist written out the night before is worlds difference. Because you're not wasting any time.
Yeah.
Figuring out what you're going to do the next day. You're going into the next day already knowing what it is that you're looking to do and accomplish. So at night, I would say those are like some of the main things. And with Shoe, I'm just looking to build it even more, expand more. I want to get into more retail stores. I want more wholesales. I want more direct to consumer sales. I want to continue to get my brand out there even more. I want to secure investments and funding. These are the types of things that I think about a lot at night, and just honestly just seeing it. Like, I always ask myself this question every day: am I doing enough? I would say is one of the biggest things, because we can hear so many stories about different entrepreneurs. We just talked about this, Jeremy. Like, well, some of them only are getting 4 hours of sleep, some of them are getting 3 hours of sleep, some are getting 5. But like, to your point, it's like you can work so hard, and if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it, then what was the purpose?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm getting 3 hours of sleep, and yeah, I'm getting a lot done for Shoe, but then when it's time to hang out with Cameron, I'm exhausted and I'm not able to give him 100% energy. That's like, what am I doing all this for? Is it even worth it? So it's a lot of things to honestly think about, but I just try to keep things just as simple as possible, honestly.
Yeah.
One day at a time, win every single day, and just honestly just get tasks done that just move you forward.
Yeah. And I mean, you kind of leaned into the transition of that. Is like, how are you balancing, being dad and running Shoe, which you got some of the biggest artists in the world asking you for stuff and wanting to see some of your stuff. You're going to Paris and you're doing things with them. You're going to New York and you're doing things with them. You're in Miami and you're doing things.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people that are like, hey, I see you. Let's grow. Let's grow now. How are you balancing, that time with Cameron, and running Shoe at the same time?
I would say when I am in town, and because majority of the time I am in town versus traveling, I would just say it's about how you schedule your time. Most entrepreneurial work is going to get done. I learned either early morning, either you're going to be up early or you're staying up late. If you don't figure it's
Up
one or
early
the
or
other.
stay up late. That's it.
Either
Those are
waking
the
up
two
early or staying
options.
up late. There's really your only two options. If you don't do one or the
Right.
other, you're not getting anything done.
Right.
It's just a sad reality. So you have to really want this. If it's something that you really want, like, I'm not telling you get 4 hours of sleep,
No.
but you're for sure probably aren't getting 8. That 2 hours, whether you might be getting 6, and like how we talked about, if Cameron's waking up at 6, I got to be up at 4, or if Cameron's going to sleep at 8, I for sure got to be up till 10. You can't just go to sleep. So it's just finding out that balance of what works for you. All you can do is just try your best. Especially like I was telling you guys, just being an entrepreneur, you got to really want this, because it's going to test every bit of you, which is why it's important to get sleep is important. I'm not going to be the one to tell people not getting sleep is important. You have to be healthy. You have to have energy. Vitamins, got to take vitamins. You got to be working out. To be an entrepreneur and a father, you need the number one thing that you need is energy. If you have energy, you'll be able to get things done. You can't get anything done when you're tired.
No.
So you're not going to be effective. You can be up all you want and trying stuff, but it's not going to be effective. So the number one thing I would say, I always am looking ways to, how can I have more energy? And you can't just drink 10 cups of coffee. At some point, you just have to have the stamina and the passion and the drive to really, really want this, because being an entrepreneur and a father, you want something that majority of people in this world do not want. You want something more. So to want something more, you have to be willing to do what majority of the world is not willing to do. And most of the time, I'll be honest with you, majority of the world is not willing to lose 2 hours of sleep. It's just the facts. So, majority of the world will tell you they're not doing that.
Majority of the world won't turn off the TV.
They won't turn off the TV.
Turn down Instagram. They are, turn off or I'm sounding like an old man. Put the phone down and get rid of Instagram
and lock in.
It takes sacrifice, and there's got to be things that you have to put hierarchically in your life that you have to make choices on. Like, you can either, do this pursue this dream or not pursue it. It's up to you, but you're responsible for what it is. And, and it's like,
Correct.
I get it. Everybody's tired. Everybody wants those days to relax, and you should in times. I know we've had
Of
conversations
course.
privately where we're like, yo, like you got to really take your time too. Like, don't just go gung ho all the time. Like, listen to your body, like, and know like when you need to take a break, like take a break. Like but it can't be, that can be the defining measure, right? Like you can, the fact that you ask yourself that when you look up at night, like, have I done enough? Right. Which is this, to summate what you were saying, is like, have I done enough today? Tells me that you're doing enough. It tells me that I think there was this quote I saw once, and I think it was from like a strength and conditioning coach. Maybe it was like Georgia Tech or somebody like that in the South, where he was like, great players always question whether or not they're working hard enough. And I think that that is so true just in life in general. If you want to be successful, the most successful people are always questioning whether or not they're working hard enough or if they're doing enough. The ones that are not as successful usually don't question whether or not they're working hard
They're
enough.
thinking they're doing that.
Usually they don't.
Yeah.
So that's a mechanism that I think people can take away from that, is like, you got to really ask yourself, like, okay, what did you do today to help move your dream forward? If your dream is X or Y or Z, and you got to do these things, what did you do today to move that dream forward? If you haven't done anything, then that's for you to decide on what you do at that point. Do you do something? Do you not do something? Then that's entirely up. That's up to each individual.
And I tell myself that all the time. I always, even when things are hard, I always say, this is a choice that I am making. I don't have to do this. This is just what I want. I tell myself that all the time. It's like, why is my life hard, or why am I doing it? It's like, this is what I want. I don't have to do this.
Yes.
My life can be easier if I wanted it to be.
Right.
It's a self-motivated thing that, that's within an individual, itself. Like just being an entrepreneur, it's like something that you have inside of you and your heart that you want. It's not life or death. It's not something that you have to do. Like we said, most people, you can just get a job, work, come right back home, take care of your son or your daughter, go to sleep, do that, have weekends off, and go about your business. And that's what the majority of the world is doing. But that's just not the majority of the world of what an entrepreneurial father wants. That's just it's just a different mindset. But it is a choice. It's not something you have to really want this. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it has to be something you're actually passionate about, because you're not going to have the energy and the motivation and the drive to do all, and the sacrifice to do all the things that are necessary to succeed.
You got to love it. Like, you got to really love what you want to go after. And I think for your kids' sake, you wouldn't want your kids to do anything. At least for me, I wouldn't want my kids to do things that they don't really want to do. I want them.
I think ultimately that's what being an entrepreneur is really all about, right?
Yeah.
We want to get past the feeling of doing things just because we have to, and it has to be something we want to do.
Yeah.
Like we always talked about, we always can just go get a job, right? Just work and come home.
Yeah.
There's
plenty of those out there. There's plenty of work and come home.
That's what most people are doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to hold. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But if you do want more, it requires more.
Correct.
And that's
you want more. Like, you can't do what most people are doing.
Yes. You cannot do what most people are doing. You have to do what a select few are doing.
Correct. And then that's just the part that takes you, to the next level. And then that's what I'm looking to build with you, and knowing that this could be something that, that can live beyond me, through my kids and then, my family and those types of things. It's like, it goes beyond me. So when I'm doing things, I'm thinking about all that now. It goes beyond my own personal self-motivation.
Yeah. Build something for yourself and for your kids to be able to take away. That's legacy. That's something that's really important. So I'll leave you with this final question, but I'm definitely, Mike, going to have you come back onto this podcast, because we got to know more about what's happening with you. We got to talk. We got to dive more into what you're doing, because there's so many amazing things. But I always ask this question, and we always end it with this: why is it important for you to build your dream?
You said build my dream?
Yeah. Why is it important for you to build your dream?
Oh, that's a great question because I would tell you, as I was kind of mentioning this as throughout this talk, it's something within me that if I didn't do this, I feel unfulfilled in my life and my journey and my purpose because I've been that person that has just worked a job that I didn't care about and I made a lot of money and I just came home, but I felt empty within my own heart. I knew that I wasn't fulfilling my life's purpose on this world to make an impact on more people beyond just like myself. So with Shoe and being an entrepreneur and building this business, it goes beyond me. It's the impact and the story that I'm able to reflect and tell through my creativity for people who are in similar positions like me to understand. I remember growing up, there wasn't that many references of people that I wanted to be like or inspirations or even being a designer or creative person in general. It kind of was unheard of, to be honest with you. It was never something, which is why I discovered it later in my life. It was never something that was promoted to me. It was never something that I looked myself in the mirror as this is what I want to do. This is what I can be. So I also want to be that person and that inspiration to other people to show like, hey, you can work this job, but still have a passion for this, and you can still do that. You can be a dad, and you can still do this at the same time. I want to be that person that's motivating those type of people who are going through life just like me. I wouldn't say I'm anybody special, but I just will say I'm a person that just cares about what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah. Good. Mike, you have blown everybody away. This is maybe I'm biased, but this is one of the best podcasts that we've had, y'all. He's absolutely amazing. Michael Shoemore, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll give you this last little bit. Like, if people are interested in Shoe, they want to see the brand, they want to see the stuff. Like, give them all their stuff. Like, go ahead and shout this time out. This is
if you guys want to see kind of the brand, you can look at the brand on www.shoe-studios.com. And then also our Instagram handles is at Shoe Studios __. My personal is at Mike Shoe __ as well. And I also have my curation page, Shoe Media _. So you guys can check all that out on Instagram. And yeah, you can check out the website. So thank you, Jeremy, for having me. This was great.
Thank you, brother. And thank you guys for listening to another episode of the After Bedtime Podcast. We're grateful for all of you that listen to this and support us throughout this time. So stay tuned for next week when we go see another great father and we talk to them about their dreams and how they're doing it, y'all. So thanks again. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you soon. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of After Bedtime, brought to you by the Black American Dad Foundation. I hope that you were just as much inspired as we were listening to another great dad with his amazing dreams and how he's balancing being dad at the same time. If you want to know more about the Black American Dad Foundation, a dad that'd be great for the show. You want to ask that dad that was just on some questions about his business or his dreams and how he's doing it. Maybe you want to get a little bit more information. Email us at blackamericandad@gmail.com, subject line it After Bedtime, and then go into a little bit more of what you want to know. Other than that, thank you again for listening to us, and hopefully you are inspired. Good night, and we'll see you on the next episode where we follow another great Black American dad.